It's Sunday morning, and every decent man and woman is listening to Test Miles with Nick Miles on FM News 101 KXL. Buckle in.
Time to talk cars for the next 60 minutes on your weekly automotive radio experience. I am Nick Miles, and you're listening to America's Automotive Radio Show, keeping you connected to the automotive world. Find us live on Facebook right now at my account, which is Nick J. Miles, and the TestMiles account, TestMiles, and also on Periscope. You can find us at Nick, N-I-K-J, Miles, M-I-L-E-S. Locally created, nationally celebrated, now with viewers all over the world. Our weekly automotive reviews, we'll start looking at some of the cars we've been driving on the road. We'll chat with Andy Colley about AT&T's way of keeping you connected in a car. They've got some exciting new products. John Vincent will be here to talk to us about the Northwest Activity Vehicle of the Outdoor Activity Vehicle of the Year. The upcoming Mudfest competition will name the 2016 winners. Bengt Halverson is here to explain a lot of questions we have about the Tesla Model 3. And Peter from Mobile West will be dropping by to talk to us about summer road trip. On top of that, Ryan looking at some detailing products. So a lot of stuff on this morning's show. Let's talk about a vehicle that I got to spend a little time with this week, the brand new Aston Martin DB11. This is a result of the James Bond film, which was the Aston Martin DB10. A lot of elements from that car taken out and put in the DB11. First of all, the hood on this car is made from a single piece of aluminum. There are no fenders. The hood goes from the wheels all the way to the wheels on the other side. So it's a giant piece of aluminum that lifts up just like a race car. The lights stay in place. They couldn't find anybody to actually make this car. Make this piece of aluminum for the hood. So it took them 6 months to find someone to be able to tool this single piece of aluminum.
So don't hit anything.
Yeah, exactly. You have to have the whole front end replaced. I guess if you're buying a car that starts at whatever, $300, blah, 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 $1,000, it probably doesn't matter if you put a couple scratches in, you can replace it. That's not the issue. It's like if you ask the gas mileage, what it does miles per gallon, you shouldn't be buying one in the first place. The other thing about it is that I noticed that I really liked was they decided that the designers would get the first crack at the car. Unlike most cars, which are engineered first, and then designers have to fit their design around what the engineers have done, it was the opposite case for Aston Martin. When they designed the DB11, they put it together with the designers getting the first crack at the whip. So they said, we don't want a big, nasty fin on the back to hold the downforce, to hold the back of the car down. We want a very smooth, clean tail line. So they said, well, how are we going to keep the back wheels on the ground? So what they did is, by the rear quarter lights, they put the air intake there. The air goes through the trunk and then comes out the back with a little vent at the back of the trunk.
Almost reverse engineered.
Absolutely. And then it pushes down on the back of the car instead of having a big old fin on the back. They do have to have, however, over 100 miles an hour, they have to have a little fin that pops up just to keep it down because, when you go over 100 miles an hour, you don't want those back wheels coming off the ground, especially when you brake. That can end up as a very nasty accident. 250 hours to build the car. So knowing there's 168 hours in a week, this new DB11 takes 250. So if you were working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it would take you a week and a half to build this one single car. 50 hours goes into the paint. 50 hours goes into the interior, which is hand sewn with 1 million stitches by one seamstress. Now, that's opulence. Is there a more opulent vehicle than that? No. And the seamstresses are so good that they can look at the inside of a car and tell you which of the girls had actually stitched it.
That seems a bit sexist when you said the girls.
Yes, and you know
they're
what?
Only women sewing?
Yeah, they're only women sewing. I checked before I actually mentioned it. I did talk to Matthew Clark at Aston Martin. I said, seamsters? And he goes, no, they're all ladies. So you seamstress, you're quite politically correct, young man. And so all right, good. So the seamstresses. And they hand paint these cars. It's not a machine. They don't go into some bay where a machine gets hold of them. They're hand painting these DB11s. The only company in America still doing it.
And they're going to make how many?
They've sold all of them already. And they're only in the pre-order stage for 2016, for this year. So you'll have to order it next year. It's 5.2-liter V12, 600 horsepower, the ZF 8-speed automatic transmission. Of course, it's a rear-wheel drive. 12-inch display screen on the inside. Does a 360 degrees bird's eye view. Starting price $211,000, $995 with
That's
a
such a value.
$25,000 down payment. There you go.
If
What
you're
do you
spending
think?
almost $300,000.
Are you thinking that Dodge Journey maybe isn't such a good idea?
I
and
think
you should
maybe
be-
I'm trading down from the Pacifica to grab this.
There you go. That would be probably the perfect vehicle to do. All right. So we are going to talk a little bit about mobility. Wi-Fi, of course, in your car. Have you ever had Wi-Fi in your car? If you haven't had Wi-Fi in the car, you should definitely think about having Wi-Fi in your car. Americans have Wi-Fi in their car to increasing numbers. But what if you have a car that didn't come with it built in? Well, there is an answer for that. Joining us on the phone is Andy Colley from AT&T. Andy, 61% of American homes have Wi-Fi, and 8 out of 10 Americans have Wi-Fi high-speed internet in their homes, but it's not as many in their car. Now, I know things like the General Motors cars come with OnStar 4G LTE. You work closely with Volvo. They have it in their vehicles, Audi Connect. But if I don't have Wi-Fi in my car, you actually have a clever device called the ZTE Mobily. Is that right?
That's right. Hey, thanks for having me, Nick. So a lot of wireless carriers are starting to sell devices or aftermarket products specifically for your car. And at AT&T, we offer the ZTE Mobily, which you mentioned, and another one called Car Connection. They both do different things. The ZTE Mobily is the one that plugs into your OBD2 diagnostic port, and it's always on, and it turns your vehicle into a Wi-Fi hotspot.
Now, so this works with 1996 and above vehicles. So if I have a 1996 or above vehicle, that little port that the mechanic uses to plug in his device to see what's wrong with my car, you can just pop that in and you suddenly have Wi-Fi enabled car?
That's right. And usually that diagnostic port is out of the way, and it's always on. So when you have the ZTE Mobily in there, the device is always on. The minute you turn the key and the car is on, the Wi-Fi is hot in the car, and people can start using it.
Now, how many devices can I connect to it?
I believe it's up to 6 devices. And depending on the plan, so if you think about pricing, you can add the ZTE Mobily for $10 a month to an existing mobile share plan. So if you've got 4 gigs or 2 gigs, it's just another device that shares that monthly data.
That obviously is great for those families that now want that extra. And I noticed online, also on the AT&T website, that it says you can actually get the device free if you sign up for a data plan, or if you put it on your data plan as well. So presumably, depending on what data plan you buy, you can actually get the device for little or no cost. But then taking a step up from that, you have this great device that I've also been playing with called the Car Connection 2.0 device, which basically does internet, but a lot more as well.
That's right. So it doesn't give you the Wi-Fi hotspot, but what it does do, it's designed to enhance the safety, control, and convenience for your vehicle. And how it does that is that it offers these features that work with an app. So it's great for parents with teen drivers or seniors or maybe even small business owners because it has these safe driver features like text blocking, driver scoring, and the ability to set safety zones to let you know when a vehicle has left a designated area. So you could think about some of the applications for that, right? If you're a teenage driver, you've said, okay, you can go to school and practice after school. If you don't completely trust them, it will alert you if they go out of that designated area around school and practice. If you're a small business owner with a small fleet, you don't want those drivers using text messages, so it'll block the texting. It'll tell you if they go out of their certain area, and it also gives you driver scores. So you can see, okay, was the person exceeding the speed limit or not doing proper braking? So a lot of monitoring that you can do through a smartphone app.
I'm wondering in my head a couple of things, because this is a million questions. Depending on your parenting relationship with your child, either you sit down and said, look, we're going to help you understand how to drive better, and this is what we're putting in the car, and this is how it works, or you could say nothing. And then your teen can be sitting there going, why doesn't my text work when I'm sitting in the car, Mom?
As a parent, I can tell you can have the conversations, and they'll still have those questions.
Yes, of course.
That's right. I just one benefit of being more proactive about it and letting them know is you could, in theory, as a parent, say, okay, this is what we want you to get your driver score to be, and this is how it's going to monitor you. And if you brake appropriately and don't exceed the speed limit, you're going to up your score. And if you get to the certain score, you can continue to drive my car.
I like that idea, much more being on the level with them and them knowing, too. Do you, Andy, is there a way to find out if you unplug the device?
You know, I don't know about that, but I would imagine that your app would just say not connected.
Yeah, because I can see Sean borrowing his mum's car, and the first thing he's doing is pulling out the device so she doesn't know what he's doing.
I wouldn't do that.
I could just see the lot of parents thinking, "Why it doesn't seem to be working today? I wonder why."
It's still parked in the garage.
Yeah, the kids are working out. It hasn't been. How much does the Car Connection 2.0 device cost?
Well, they're both both the ZTE Mobility and the Car Connection. They're both $99 if you want to buy them up front, and then $10 a month for a data plan. But per your mention, Nick, you can get both of those for free if you sign up for a $10 a month with a 2-year service agreement.
Excellent, Andy. It's always good to talk to you, and thanks for being on the phone with us today. If you want to investigate these devices, of course, just go to your AT&T website. You can check them out, and also go get one if you want internet in your car, and it's above $19.96. I think that's an awesome plan. $10 a month. On top of that, if you have kids and they're starting to drive, great way to monitoring fuel consumption and everything from texting to driving. Coming up on Test Miles, a packed show still to come. We're going to be talking about... Sean's going to be talking about what he's been driving, and also we're going to be talking about Mudfest, the upcoming event where we choose the Northwest Activity Vehicle of the Year, and also the Tesla Model 3, and a lot more. It's Test Miles. I'm Nick Miles.
Test Miles, like NASCAR, but with one right turn. TestMiles.com.
Staying connected with the automotive world, you're listening to our car show, Test Miles. I'm Nick Miles, and we're joined by our crew, Sean Walker, Brad Boyer, and Jen is in the studio. And Jen has our first fun fact of the day.
First fun fact of the day is the first mobile phone originated with Bell Systems and was used in St. Louis in June 17th of 1946. It weighed 80 pounds and only had 3 channels for all users.
Oh, how was it, Brad?
It wasn't bad. I came in from World War II and then just continued on with that.
Instead of the radio.
Yeah, it was a little like radar.
All right. Can you imagine those phones? What?
80 pounds?
Yeah, not only 80 pounds, but probably all the electricity that we worry about coming out of our phones today, and the radiation. Probably what's the radiation came out.
But I bet it didn't break when you dropped it.
Yeah, if you dropped 80 pounds, it would hurt.
So who was the first guy who said, "Hey, guess where I'm calling from"?
My car. That's hilarious. Sean, what were you driving this week?
I was driving the Kia Forte Coupe SX, and it's a turbocharged 1.6 liter, that has 201 horsepower, gets 35 miles highway. And it's a fun little car. Technology on it's not much. It has the UVO voice command recognition, which I kind of think is cool, where you can use the Google Maps and on your phone and send it into your phone without actually having to program anything in. Its only competition that I could find coupe-wise is the Honda Civic. Comes in an EX and XS, but you can also get it in a sedan or a hatchback, the Kia Forte 5. Zippy little car around town. It's quick. It's fun to drive. I mean, it's a little car. The only downside I have with it is basically I wish the styling was a little bit more aggressive like some of the other cars are coming out with now. It's a little plain on the outside.
Gonna be a new one.
I know.
New one coming soon.
I'm excited for it. I was even excited for this. I really enjoyed it because there's a lot of room inside once you get in for it being so little outside. Starting price is $19,890. The one I was driving was $26,435.
They will be building them in their new plant in Mexico, and they will have a competitive vehicle to the STI coming soon. So we'll see how that goes for them, the Forte.
That's exciting.
I'm looking
Kia
forward.
Needs a sports car.
Although I'm a little bit worried after Donald Trump went after Ford this week for them opening a factory, how he would like to go after Kia, although he really can't go after them because they're not an American brand. But we'll see that they potentially are exporting jobs to Mexico out of the U.S. because the other place for that factory would be the U.S., and that's where the cars are going to end up. Just fodder for political thought coming up this week. I'm sure somebody else will have a jab at them for that. All right, so what's been going on this week? Well, this week and the coming week in Shelton, Washington, the top automotive journalists gather to choose the Northwest Outdoor Activity Vehicle of the Year. The event is known as Mudfest. It's a 3-day event. It includes both on- and off-road courses and a grueling extreme off-road course as well. John Vincent is here from the U.S. News and World Report. He is a member of the Northwest Automotive Press Association. He joins us this morning. John, how many vehicles will take part in this year's event?
We're hoping 27, although we've heard that 1 or 2 might drop out in the next couple days.
Yeah, they're shipping these cars from all over the country, so sometimes they don't actually arrive on time. It's at the Ridge Motorsports Park. It's a first for the association to have it there.
It is. The Ridge Motorsports Park is a fairly new motorsports facility up in Shelton, Washington, with a lot of potential for a lot of different kinds of events. It's a really nice facility.
They're doing track racing with cars and with motorcycles. They're building you a special off-road course for this. I'm a little concerned that Rusty Gill, who owns or is a partner in the property, Rusty, he builds roads. That's what he does for a living. One of his companies builds roads. This guy has more outdoor equipment than many companies. I can just imagine the holes he's digging for you guys to get your cars into.
He has some really big toys, yes.
So there'll be an extreme off-road course. Tell me a little bit about the categories of vehicles, how you divide them up, and what sort of testing they go through.
Well, we have about 6 categories. Mainstream SUVs, compact SUVs, and then luxury large and compact SUVs, and then an extreme capability category for the heavy-duty off-road vehicles like the Wrangler and the Range Rover and a few others.
And the Power Wagon and those type of things. Things that for all-wheel drive that can get through sort of 9-10 inches of water without any trouble.
Actually, beyond the all-wheel drive, but the true four-wheel drives.
So tell me a little bit about the last year's event. Who won the last year's event? How well did they do? What was the course like?
Last year's event was won by the new Jeep Renegade. We had a great course that got really bad through the day because it was pouring down rain, and it got more and more challenging through the day. But the little Renegade just kept going and going and going.
And this is the smallest Jeep that they actually make, and it just took the course by storm?
Fantastic.
So the vehicles coming this year, what's on your list of most exciting?
We have quite a bit of new stuff out there. Everything from the new 2017 Kia Sportage, the new Honda Pilot, which is ranked by U.S. News as the top SUV in the market right now. We have some pickup trucks, the new Nissan Titan XD, the Chevy Colorado Diesel, which I'm really excited to get into. The Colorado is pretty highly rated, and with the diesel, it makes it even more compelling. We have the new big Lexus, the LX 570, that you think Lexus, an off-road vehicle, but this vehicle is extremely capable.
And the luxury vehicles as well, you don't put them through, I mean, apart from Range Rover, you don't put them through the nasty courses, do you?
Usually not.
Because pieces of plastic break off, right?
They're not supposed to.
I just know that the way that I handle some of these vehicles, they probably wouldn't want me driving them through some of the rough exterior, the hard big bumps and huge mud hills and
but
stuff.
That doesn't mean we haven't done it or taken them there.
Yeah,
or broken those plastic pieces off.
We should probably keep it up to ourselves. We will have the results sometime towards the end of the week.
Yep, hopefully by next Sunday's show.
All right. You think this helps people sell cars?
Absolutely. The manufacturers love winning awards. Gives them something to talk about.
Excellent. Coming up to the news at the bottom of the hour. When we come back, we'll talk about the new Tesla 3, and we'll have conversations about summer road trips with Peter from Mobile West and talk about some great new product. I'm Nick Miles. It's TestMiles.
Favorite us, tweet us, friend us, love us, all at testmiles.com.
Keeping you connected to the automotive world, you're listening to TestMiles, America's automotive radio show. We'd like to thank you for being part of the show and the Automotive Nation. For more fun facts about cars, go to our Twitter and TestMiles account. By the way, live on Periscope and live right now on Facebook. If you go to TestMiles page on Facebook or you go to my account on Periscope, you can see TestMiles live. You can see all these ugly mugs in the studio and the back of my head. Jen, what's our fun fact?
Thank you, Nick. Per Aston Martin, the DB1 began in 1948. The DB stands for David Brown, who's the owner, and only 15 were made.
There you go. There's a lot more made now of these. Brad, what have you been driving this week?
Well, I got my dream vehicles, a minivan. And so I drove the Honda Odyssey. It's limited dreams. You set your bar really low. But
except with your wife.
Yes, that's right.
Where you set your bar really
very
high. Well, I just saved your marriage right there. I just want you to know that.
But so when there's a big competition in this category, so you've got the new Pacifica, the Sedona, the Sienna. There's a lot of choices. And when the most talked about feature in your vehicle is a vacuum cleaner, that is not really what you're looking for.
This is a show for car guys.
I know. But the interior was great. I mean, everything worked fine. The folding, extra cargo space, all of that was terrific. And the safety, it's a top safety pick. Rear view cameras. I mean, we love Honda's turn signal cameras and all of that. But exterior wise, it reminded me a little bit more of the Quest, which is somewhat a backhanded compliment.
They did call the Quest the man van when it came out, by the way, so you should feel more comfortable.
It was a little manly looking on there. But the thing that you need in a minivan are all the features. And in the base models, the first 2 or 3 levels that Honda's famous for, it came pretty stark. And the features that you really need with the automatic lift gates and all of the other features did not come in that. So you could start with an LX at $29,400. But you can make your way all the way up in a Touring Elite at $44,875.
Don't you think it's ironic that when you have kids and when you get married, most people have very little money, and that's when you need all the features, when you have little babies and shopping. But when you can afford one is the least time that you need it, right? The world's backwards. The world is messed up. Sorry, go on.
Oh, no, I just, to finish off, it was really nice to drive. I mean, it was not a sports car. It's not supposed to be. But with its 248 horsepower, 6-speed automatic transmission and the V6, it drove great and really quiet inside. But it's just it's kind of in the middle for me of that packed minivan market now.
You are such an easy dad to satisfy. I can't imagine your kids have any trouble on Father's Day. If someone that would be happy with a minivan, you're probably one of the easiest dads
That's right.
to buy
But
for.
you know what's the best expense? To go back $10 a month so that my children can have their iPad Wi-Fi and they can get on Dude Perfect.
I know you probably already bought one.
Absolutely, in the break.
All right, let's get on with technology. As of today, Tesla have taken 325 pre-orders for their new Model 3. That has generated $325 million in deposits and $11.3 billion in potential income for Tesla. But at $325,000 per of the orders that have come in initially, there's some hard questions that have to be asked about Tesla. Could this potentially be a lot of trouble for their company? And if this venture fails? Bengt Halverson from Green Car Reports is here to give us some perspective on this. All right, Bengt, BMW sell 340,000 cars in the U.S. In a year. VW sell about 350,000 cars in the U.S. for a year. They've both been around for decades, and it's taken them decades to get to this. And we're saying Tesla is going to do this at the end of 2017, the beginning of 2018. How are they going to do this?
That's right. And another way to put this is, well, Honda only sells about 300,000 Civics a year in the U.S. So we're talking reservations for as many Civics as Honda sells in the U.S. a year. That's an astounding number. Tesla isn't even targeting that. They're targeting 500,000. It's astonishing. So they have so many hurdles yet to do. They have.
Here's a bit of more perspective. And an average factory, let's say a factory like a Honda factory in the U.S., puts out a maximum of 240,000 cars a year. Maximum, everything, 240,000 cars a year. So they are going to at least need 2 factories the size of what Honda has, or the Kia has, or one of the other cars like Hyundai has. They're going to at least need 2 factories that size to be built within 2 years and at full production.
Yep, and so they're manufacturing their own batteries at the Gigafactory, the world's largest industrial footprint assembly facility outside of Reno,
right.
Which isn't completely finished, by the way. And then they're going to be assembling this car theoretically at Fremont, California, which the former GM NUMMI plant, which they also haven't yet taken over the entire floor of and haven't yet outfitted with expensive tooling and everything else that's needed for automotive manufacturing. And so you begin to see that there are tremendous hurdles yet to be done. And this, by the way, is in addition to what typically today it costs about $2 billion to develop a new car. And that's, depending on who you talk to in the industry, that's a conservative number.
Right.
But when you have a vehicle that's testing new battery packs, a vehicle that is using a body structure that they've developed from scratch, those costs are probably higher. So
I feel in my heart like this 2 and Tour is not making anywhere close to 4 right now when I do the addition. It just doesn't feel like this could physically happen. And we haven't even started talking about the vehicle. And you're talking about the vehicle. So first of all, I want this to be a success. Don't get me wrong. I want them to achieve this. I want them to revolutionize what we do in cars. But I also think this is a Disneyland fairy story. I can't see the evidence adding up to be a reality at this point. Right?
I do have another question, and I don't think my phone calculator went up this high. They still qualify for the $7,500 federal tax credit. Is that correct?
Well, that's going to be a key issue here, and
because I think it's $2 billion. Would that be the right number if they sell 325,000 vehicles at $7,500?
No, it's 11.1 billion, I think, or 11.3 billion. The money they're going to get from those, which is at 35,000. So it's not far off.
Elon Musk had a very confusing tweet about that. Yeah, he mentioned. I think he mentioned the $11.3 billion in potential income, but that was just taking a anticipated $42,000 sticker price average per vehicle.
And now you've hit the nail on the head.
And cranking through the numbers. But of course, a very small percentage of that vehicle, if any, is going to be actual, after the books are settled, profit.
Right, so. but you've hit the nail on the head, and this is the next thing I'm saying. Everyone's saying, why wouldn't I put my $1,000 down for a car that has all these autonomous features and this great screen? And I'm saying at $35,000, that's not the car you're buying. You're buying a base model. But it's like anything else. I can go in tomorrow and buy a brand new BMW for $28,000. But by the time I put everything on that car I want, I'm closer to $55,000. It's going to be the same with a Tesla. They can't do autonomous driving and all these things for $35,000, can they?
Well, they have, with careful language, they've promised that their autopilot active safety feature suite will be standard, and that how did they put it? That their cars will be supercharger capable.
Right.
So
capable being the key word.
So he was emphasizing that they won't charge extra for the act of supercharging, of fast charging, but maybe the hardware won't be enabled. So there may be some subtle differences like that'll come out with option packages.
I just don't believe that $35,000 is going to be the transaction price.
No. But you guys all have to admit, right, that you look at this car, you look at the specs, you look at 215-mile range, you look at, and that's a minimum, by the way. They would have options for higher range. You look at 0 to 60 in less than 6 seconds. You look at two trunks, more cargo space than any other car its size. It's about the size of a BMW 3 Series or an Audi A4. You look at that incredible screen, and by the way, that isn't the final form interior that we saw at the reveal either. There's going to be like some kind of heads-up display, right. and Elon Musk keeps hinting some sort of futuristic interface, so it may not even have a normal steering wheel. Right. People are speculating it may have some paddle system or who knows?
But it looks amazing.
But you guys have to admit, you take a look at the car, you take a look at the features that they're proposing. You want one,
right?
You want it to happen.
I considered it. Don't think I didn't.
But at the same time, it could easily be argued that yes, this is a cash grab. Yes, Tesla desperately needs this money to continue and to still be viable. The question is, though, that this is a very small amount of what Tesla will need to develop an all-new car. Right. Where does the rest of the money come from? Is this a way of Tesla pointing out to a potential suitor down the line who might just buy their cars division, that, hey, we've got this much interest in the model. This car is viable. It just needs more investment.
I will leave this on one note. The one note is that Elon Musk has been amazingly successful with companies when he has left them. So when he started PayPal, which was called X.com, it just did nothing. The second he left it, and he still had 11% shares in it, the PayPal went through the roof. He's done extremely well with companies when he's no longer in charge of them. So I wonder, I have to think that he's preparing this company for sale to a GM, or, he's just getting the company ready to show what it can be done. And then he's going to take his shares and let somebody take over. I want it to happen. Don't get me wrong. I really do want this to happen. But just 2 and 2 is not making 4. Banked, if we want to read more about your stuff on the Tesla 3, where do we go?
Definitely. Head over to Green Car Reports, and you can also catch some of the coverage at the Car Connection. But Green Car Reports is definitely where to go. And we have... you can probably see a Tesla story there every day. Excellent,
Bank. We love having you on the show. We got to have you back to talk more about these subjects. Go and read Bank's stuff. When we come back, we'll talk to Peter from Mobile West about summer road trips, and we'll find out what product Ryan has been testing. All still to come on TestMiles. We're still live on Facebook and Periscope. I'm Nick Miles.
Test Miles, like NASCAR, but with one right turn. TestMiles.com.
Yes, from our Test Miles studio, this is America's Car Radio Show. We'd like to thank you for being part of the Car Nation.
Our last fun fact of the day is in 1955, Chrysler offered a small turntable in a high-end cars to play a 7-inch record, which won about 45 minutes of music.
Scratches on that were horrible after Sean had finished driving. We're live on Periscope and on the TestMiles Facebook page. Ryan, what have you been testing this week?
I've been testing out Mother's California Gold all chrome polish and cleaner. It's actually
Is that what's on your lips right now?
No, I don't think I have any left.
It looks like very chrome and polished lips. Sorry, go on.
It's actually a quick and easy way to keep your chrome wheels all clean and shiny. I mean, it works on plastic, chrome plated, PVD chrome, just about any kind of chrome, as long as it's shiny.
Would you use this at Afterglow on a vehicle that you were detailing?
I actually do use this at Afterglow every day.
Oh, you do? And it makes the chrome... Now, sometimes chrome gets little blemishes in it. Like it's almost like something stuck to the chrome.
Yeah, this has a fine grit polish in it, so it does pull a lot of that off. So if it's real chrome, metal, non-plastic polish, just comes right off. If it's plastic, it's going to leave a little bit of marring if you shove your hand into it. But if it's just a light scrub, it'll take
out of 10.
off.
How many points would you give it?
I'd give it at least an 8.5.
An 8.5, and you can get it at all good stores. Or you go to mothers.com to buy it.
Yeah, I'd go to mothers.com.
Mothers.com. It sounds like you shouldn't be buying car stuff from mothers.com.
I think your mother would probably have the best products, though.
Oh, there you go. All right. You're very funny. You're a funny one. All right. Thanks, Ryan, for being on the show. All right. We love to do summer road trips, of course. We love vacations, and the average road trip is about 500 miles at American state. 93.3 million American state road trips. That's 83% of all Americans are on the road every summer. So how do you get your car ready for a road trip? Peter is here from Mobile West. Peter, tell us about how you keep comfortable on that ride, because I can tell you as a child, my backside was very sore after sitting in the car for a whole summer.
Oh, absolutely. And that's something that people need to think about in advance is the foams and the structures of your car seats over time will collapse and deform, and your back and your structure of your back won't sit in the seat right anymore.
That's right. If you ever got an old piece of foam out of the garage, it was stuffed behind all of those pieces of old sideboard and boarding that you have sitting up there, the old baseboards that are in everybody's garage, that foam really degrades nastily over time, right?
It really, really does. And it's surprising how fast the actually newer technology foams are deteriorating.
Really?
Oh, I have people that have 5-year-old cars that all of a sudden they want to trade them in because they don't feel good anymore.
So what's the answer?
Well, bring it by Mobile West. Let's talk about it. We can actually change the densities of foams, add padding, add support in places where it's collapsed, change where lumbar supports are to fit your back right.
And the color of your seats, too.
Well,
That's just an added plus.
That's an added plus.
It'd be comfortable, but you can have it in blue as well.
Absolutely. Well, it's one of those things. You want to make it the way it works for you, right? Sometimes you need to change the look. sometimes you need to change how they feel.
I feel very superficial right now because what I'm thinking about is I always just think about the color of the seat, but I forget to think that there's foam underneath.
It has to fit you.
All right.
In fact, this past week, we've done 3 motorcycle seats this week alone for guys that have bought new bikes and they don't fit them. They're about to go on road trips and they know just by riding it around town that it doesn't feel good. And if you're going to go put 500 miles or 1,000 miles,
I'm thinking about putting a new seat on my motorcycle. You've got me going. All right, tell us how much it's going to cost, where we can find you, and how we can get our seats done.
Yeah. Changing how they look and fit and feel for you ranges $200 to $400 per seat, depending on what needs to be done. MWPDX.us. We're right over on Northeast MLK and Tillamook.
Excellent, Peter. We love having you on the show. Let's have you back again. We'll make some dates. There's a lot more I want to talk to you about. You listen to Test Miles FM News 101. We're here 24/7 at testmiles.com, and I'm Nick Miles.
Throw it in neutral and coast in with TestMiles.com.